Hi, everyone. It's Joe Chadburn, the Ambassador Network Director here at World Missionary Press. I'm with my good friend, Doreen Kabasomi. She is Every Home for Christ National Ministry Director in Uganda. Welcome, my dear sister.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. I'm very happy to see you today. I'm very glad for us to talk again.
Good to see you. Thank you for making time. You're squeezing it in. You're in your automobile right now, getting ready to do a fundraiser. But we're
Yes.
so thankful for you and all that you're doing in Uganda. I understand that you just put in for a new order, but you are out of booklets and need some booklets. Is that right?
Yes, we are out of booklets. We are out of booklets. We need more booklets. We've put in an order with Helen and Emmanuel, and
Yes.
I hope it will be coming in soon. But we're out of booklets. We're out of booklets. We
Yes.
didn't anticipate that we would because we got a container last year in January. So we thought maybe it would take us another maybe 2 years, but surprisingly not.
Okay.
Surprisingly not. Yeah.
Okay. So you passed out over 2.1 million scripture booklets then, and if each one reaches 3 to 5 people, that's massive coverage when you're touching families
Yes.
and friends
Yes.
and villages, communities, cities. So thank you so much for doing that. And yeah, we want to
And
get
and
you
in,
want to get
and,
you those
and in
booklets.
fact, why we have had a run out quickly is we changed our strategy. We changed strategy, and we also changed the way our field staff were moving out. We changed so our field staff go in one particular area. All the 13 field staff go in one particular area so that they can cover a bigger space in one place. What they used to do would be everyone to go in a different location. So now what we say is if we are covering Kampala, let's cover the whole Kampala together. So we will have 14 people carrying literature that belongs to Kampala in one area for 3 months. So the consumption is higher. So we find that we don't have literature for some areas because there was a concentration in a particular area of all the field staff for a particular period of time. So that's why, because we changed that strategy, that's why we have run out quickly.
So that's the downside of being so efficient. You use
Yeah.
more booklets more quickly, but that's a good thing because more
Yes.
people are being reached and lives are being
Yes.
changed and people are
Yes.
encountering the love of Jesus. I've been to Kampala, love that city. How did the people of Kampala receive the scripture booklets? Talk to me a little bit.
Even last time when we talked, like I said last time, I can say it now. There isn't any word I can use to explain the importance of World Missionary Press and the literature we get from World Missionary Press is to us. I'll just give you an example. Yesterday, because we were organizing this fundraiser, we had to go to the Parliament of Uganda, the legislators of Uganda, because we were looking for support and for people to come for this dinner. But sometimes you get to a place and you don't know what language to speak or which words to use. What makes it easy is the literature that we have.
Mhm.
You just talk about literature. Who am I? You just talk about the Bible tracts and give them out to the political leaders, the legislators, the people who don't understand the Christian language. The literature just makes it simple, it makes it easy, it makes it accessible, it makes us break the walls that exist between the people that we cannot be able to tell. Yesterday we had to speak to ministers, but sometimes you don't know what to tell them. You don't know how to ask for money. You don't know what to do. They ask you, what do you do? We tell them we want to spread the gospel. And one of the ways we spread the gospel is by making sure that this literature gets to everyone in Uganda. We want everyone to get this literature. This literature needs to be transported. This literature needs to go to the mountains and the valleys. And when someone sees that booklet, they just understand what we are talking about. So these books, their reception is, I can tell you, it breaks a wall. There is a wall that it is between between us and people who don't understand the language that we speak, that when we introduce this literature, it makes everything easy. It makes the words that we cannot speak be spoken easily, quietly, clearly. When someone sees the title, Who Am I? And someone sees it in their own language, someone is seeing someone talking to them and asking a question of who am I? And they're going to read that and they're going to understand. So someone asked us, so where are you getting this literature? How are you making sure that this literature gets to everyone that it needs to get to? And we told them that's why we need the money. That's why we are doing resource mobilization. It makes everything easy. It makes accessibility to the most difficult places and people is very, very easy. There is a wall this literature breaks that I can't even explain to you.
Yes. Well, I just got to thinking, last time I was in Uganda was 2004. That's been 20 years.
Yes.
Those people weren't even born that you are ministering
Exactly.
to right now, that I never met for sure. But when I was there, I was there about 17 days straight. We were preaching and teaching about 3 times a day. I lost my voice at the end. I was whispering in these big meetings, over 1,000 people, and I was whispering to the interpreter who was sharing. It was that like I said, the demand was that great. And it blew my mind. They had lunch hour prayers. So many churches had lunch hour prayers where people would come, and the big emphasis was praying, and there'd be loudspeakers even out in the streets, and just people just sharing the gospel. It seemed like everywhere. I don't think I've ever been to a country where I've seen that, where it was just that inundated with the gospel. Now, you don't have to tell me, I know you're at least 25. So you were alive then and you're alive now. Can you contrast? And I know a lot of things have changed there in Uganda, even with the highway system and everything else. I've seen pictures and it just blows my mind. But is the spiritual climate similar to what it was 20 years ago? What has changed?
I should say what you're describing is very true, but I can tell you it is maybe 5 times more than what you saw.
Wow.
One of the things that we are blessed with as a country is we have freedom of worship. In fact, even our politicians or our presidents, if you do anything to curtail worship of people, then the president will come out for you. So wherever you go, you will go. Even every Home for Christ, we buy loudspeakers for people to stand on the roads and preach, to go to the hospitals and prisons. So worship and prayer and evangelism and doing the work of God is more than maybe 5 times than what you saw. Of course, it is higher population. We are dealing with the Gen Z, a generation that is younger, that we have you have to speak to differently. Most of these generations now, in fact, some of these booklets are helping us. We are even thinking that maybe we should introduce some digital kind of books for them to access, because we are dealing with a different generation. We are dealing with now, of course, the political climates are higher and people are very aware. People are also spiritually aware, because there's a lot of evangelism. And because there's a lot of evangelism, the need for printed literature is high, because people have been spoken to, but people need a follow-up. They need to be discipled. People need something to read. People need something to go back home and refer to. So the demand for printed literature is higher than it was before, because evangelization is going on and has gone on. So printed literature is a demand. I am telling you, at our offices, we have many partners that get literature from us, to a point where instead of taking 20 boxes, take 8, because there's another person who is going to come and take 4. We even have to limit the number, because the demand for printed literature is high, because people are spiritually aware. Evangelism has gone on a very high scale, that you know how you just pick someone and drop them. If they don't have anything to refer back to, and we find this literature that is being printed, it's something someone can go back and refer back to, either for follow-up, for discipleship, either for read. Someone preached to me, but what do I do? What next? How do I follow up? So this printed literature now is demanded because of a lot of work that has been done. Now the vacuum for reading and for follow-up is there, and the printed literature tends to fill it in. In fact, we are thinking that we want to get a way to address this new generation with this literature. How do we get it to them? Because now you realize that this literature, this generation that is here, they don't like to read printed literature. So we are thinking that now we need to also be addressing the information in the booklets is good, but how do we get it to them? Maybe we need to get some digital formats, but the spiritual climate and awareness is high, hence the need for printed literature. Printed literature, printed Bibles, audio Bibles. People need to be feeding from something, and the literature is helping us to feed people.